Welcome. Friedrich Nietzsche was a German philosopher who lived from 1844 to 1900. Let's discuss his most famous book, Thus Spoke Zarathustra. It's his poetic and philosophical masterpiece. Let's start with his ideas of a Superman.
Sure. He introduces it as this ideal human being who creates their own values rather than accepting traditional ones. The Superman isn't bound by good and evil as society defines it, but instead rises above it. Nietzsche sees this as the ultimate expression of human potential.
I think it's a powerful metaphor for self-overcoming, too. Zarathustra, the character in the book, challenges humanity to stop being passive and to actively shape their destiny. He's saying, don't just settle for being ordinary, strive to be extraordinary.
So, the Superman is about transcending our limits and creating new values. It sounds super inspiring but also difficult. How does Nietzsche connect this to his famous idea of the death of God?
Ah, yes. Nietzsche writes, God is dead. And it's not about a literal death. It's more about the decline of religious authority in modern society. That is, traditional moral frameworks lose their power, creating a moral vacuum, leaving humanity to confront the terrifying freedom of creating its own meaning and values. It represents the existential crisis faced by modern man. How do we create meaning?
Right, and this is where the Superman comes in, right? Without God or universal morals, humans have to create their own meaning. But this is really challenging because we've always relied on these fixed ideas.
So, Nietzsche's idea is that we're free, but that freedom is scary. Which brings us to another central concept, eternal recurrence.
Definitely. Nietzsche asks us to imagine that everything in our lives will happen again and again in an infinite loop. Every moment, every joy, every mistake, it all recurs forever. The question is, can you embrace that? Can you say yes to living your life over and over?
It's almost like a test. If you can live in a way that you'd be willing to repeat your actions forever, you're truly living authentically. But if that idea terrifies you, maybe you're not living in alignment with who you really want to be.
Wow, it's a powerful way of thinking about your choices. Speaking of choices, let's talk about the will to power, which seems to tie everything together.
The will to power is the driving force behind all life, according to Nietzsche. It's not just about survival, but about the desire to grow, to overcome, and to assert creativity and influence. The will to power drives the Superman to create new values and to overcome personal limitations.
It's not about dominating others, but about self-overcoming. The will to power is this internal energy that pushes you towards self-improvement and creation. Nietzsche thinks life is constantly in flow, and the best response is to embrace that process of becoming.
And flow of life really fits with the metaphor of the three metamorphoses: the camel, the lion, and the child.
Sure. Nietzsche describes 3 stages of transformation in a person's spiritual development. Firstly, the camel represents the stage of bearing heavy burdens. It symbolizes people who follow traditional values and carry the weight of societal expectations. Secondly, the lion is the stage of rebellion, where you say no to those values and assert your independence. You destroy the old to make room for the new. And finally, the child symbolizes innocence and creativity. After rejecting the old values, the child is free to create new ones with a sense of playfulness and spontaneity.
Yes, the child is especially important because Nietzsche doesn't just want destruction of values. He wants creation. The child can create freely, without being burdened by past obligations or rules.
It's like we have to go through this process of carrying the weight, rejecting it, and then reinventing ourselves. That fits really well with Nietzsche's critique of the last man, right?
Exactly. The last man is Nietzsche's nightmare vision of humanity, someone who seeks comfort, security, and avoids risk. The last man doesn't strive for greatness. Instead, he just wants an easy life.
Nietzsche's warning is that society could devolve into this mediocrity if we lose our drive for self-overcoming. The Superman strives for greatness, while the last man is content to just exist.
So the last man is everything Nietzsche doesn't want us to become: passive, lazy, and afraid of change. But the journey from the last man to the Superman isn't easy. It's like we're walking a tightrope, or in Nietzsche's words, a rope over an abyss.
Yes, Nietzsche says that humanity is a rope stretched between animal and Superman, and below us is the abyss, the dangers of failure, nihilism, and despair. The idea is that we're in this precarious, in-between state, and it's up to us to cross that rope and move toward the Superman.
And the abyss represents that fear of falling back into meaninglessness. It's a metaphor for the risks involved in trying to live authentically and creatively.
It's definitely a challenging journey, and Nietzsche knows not everyone will make it across. Throughout the book, Zarathustra uses metaphors of light and the sun to symbolize knowledge, wisdom, and enlightenment. The sun is often associated with Zarathustra himself, who brings new wisdom and perspectives to humanity.
There are a lot of things weighing us down, what he calls the spirit of gravity. The spirit of gravity is Nietzsche's metaphor for everything that drags us down: traditional values, societal norms, fear of change, tribal expectations. The spirit of gravity keeps us grounded, stuck in conventional thinking.
It's the opposite of the spirit of dancing or lightness. Zarathustra often talks about dancing as a metaphor for freedom, being unburdened, spontaneous, and joyful. To overcome the spirit of gravity, we need to embrace that spirit of dancing or lightness.
That's a lovely image, dancing as a metaphor for freedom. But Nietzsche is also very critical of pity. Why?
Nietzsche views pity as a weakness. He believes that pity, in the sense of feeling sorry for others, keeps people from growing. Instead of empowering the weak to become strong, pity traps everyone in mediocrity.
That's a tough pill to swallow. But Nietzsche is saying that compassion should be about helping others rise, not wallowing in suffering.
It's a pretty radical view. And speaking of radical, Nietzsche also criticizes those he calls tarantulas, right?
Yes, the tarantulas are those who preach equality out of resentment. They don't really want justice, they want revenge. They want to tear down greatness because they feel envious. Instead of trying to rise above, these people want to bring everyone down to the same level. It's a destructive, rather than a creative, mindset.
I see. Nietzsche emphasizes that suffering is an inevitable part of life, and rather than avoiding it, individuals should embrace suffering as a means of personal growth. Overcoming suffering is central to achieving greatness and creating new values.
One more point: Zarathustra's journey is often one of solitude, where he separates from others to meditate and reflect on his teachings. His loneliness is symbolic of the isolation that comes with the rejection of societal norms. Those who strive for greatness must often walk alone.
Lastly, how does the idea of the higher man fit into all of this?
The higher man is someone who has gone through all these stages of transformation. He's creative, courageous, and willing to face suffering to become greater. He's always striving, always pushing beyond himself.
And Nietzsche's Zarathustra believes in the higher man as the future of humanity, the one who embraces life fully and creates new values.
That's all for Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra. Keep learning and prospering. Bye.